I'm going to talk today about the first book that I read for our reading resolution for 2019, and that was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. If you've seen my top 5 favorites video, then you know that Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire is my favorite Harry Potter book. Because it's one of my favorite books, I decided to kind of do like a summary of highlights rather than a normal review. If you haven't read this book, here's your spoiler warning. Do not continue. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire starts following the character Frank Bryce, who's the groundskeeper for the Riddle family's manor. The way this book starts is very different from previous Harry Potter books. There's immediately elements of mystery and darkness that harken closer to tropes from the Gothic genre rather than to fantasy. So Frank overhears Voldemort and Wormtail plotting to kill Harry Potter. Then Voldemort kills Frank, and Harry wakes up with his scar hurting, and that's where the main story starts. Sorry, I needed a cup of tea. Where were we? Ah, yes. Harry had just woken up. Here's where my writer brain takes over and has to complain about a trope I hate. Even though this is one of my favorite books, I cannot stand in fantasy when the book starts with the main character waking up. Anyway, back to Harry. So he wakes up, he writes a letter to Sirius about the fact that his scar is hurting, and then the Weasleys come to get him because they're going to the Quidditch World Cup. Quidditch is one of my favorite parts of Harry Potter, so the Quidditch World Cup was like one of the best parts of the entire series for me. I absolutely adored it. I loved being able to see the magical community come together, which is one of the best parts of this book, actually, is that you do get to see more of the wizarding world, which leads us into them going to Hogwarts and the Tri-Wizard Tournament. So, the Tri-Wizard champions, we have Fleur, who is just as smart as she is beautiful. There's Victor Crumb, who is maybe a little bit of a dumb jock stereotype, but he turns out to be a very loyal friend. There's Cedric, who is the prince of the Hufflepuffs and comes to a tragic end. Sorry, I did say spoilers. And then there's Harry, who's the main character. We also get some other characters in this book. There's Rita Skeeter, who's the worst. There is Ludo Backman, who's also not great. There's Barty Crouch Jr., / Mad-Eye Moody. There is Winky the House Elf, one of the characters I was most sad that they cut from the film adaptation. I love the house elves in the books, and I could spew on about SPEW forever. Those book-to-movie adaptations, am I right? I'm out of tea. Summing up a very long book, there's 3 tasks. In the first task, they have to get an egg from a dragon. A big, scary, fire-breathing dragon. Yes, they decided to do this to teenagers. I do sometimes question Dumbledore's sanity. The second task, they take the people that the champions love most, put them in the lake to be, held captive by mermaids, and then expect them to be able to save their loved ones without drowning. And then there's the third task, where they have to go into a maze that's full of, magical creatures that could potentially kill them, and scary mist that turns the world upside down, and lots of other things like that. And of course, the way is pretty much paved for Harry. He doesn't have to face off with very many things until he gets to the cup with Cedric. Cedric and Harry find themselves in a graveyard, and this is where it gets good and gothic. Kill the spell. Cedric dies, Wormtail does a spell, Voldemort's back, all the Death Eaters show up, Voldemort monologues for a while, then he tries to kill Harry and their wands do a... Harry sees dead people, they tell him how to escape, he takes Cedric's body back to his father, tells Dumbledore that Voldemort's back. Mad-Eye Moody takes Harry up to his office, turns out he's actually Barty Crouch Jr., a Death Eater that's working for Voldemort, and he planned all of this to happen all along. Fudge brings Dementors into the office, they perform the kiss on Barty Crouch Jr. so they don't actually get his confession, which means that Fudge does not believe that Voldemort is back. The book basically ends with Dumbledore giving a lovely speech on Cedric's behalf and Harry having to go back to the Dursleys again. On the bright side, Fred and George get all the gold from the Tri-Wizard Tournament and Rita Skeeter's in a jar. Do not mess with Hermione Granger. So that was it. That was Goblet of Fire, the first book that I read for my 2019 reading resolution, 1 out of 50. If you guys are new here, if you liked what I did, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell if you want to see more. Bye!